Okay, so what am I saying? Instead, that social work education's conceptions of diversity continue to be largely associated and rooted in notions of racial differences, right? It's this, there's a diverse difference, right, that is shaped and defined by its deviation from whiteness. And so we allow whiteness to continue, as well as the history of whiteness as it relates to gender, sort of untapped. It's not considered a site for deconstruction, research, right? So whiteness then is considered the norm, is considered universal, or that which is not different. And when I spoke about Paulo Freire, when he spoke about that the world, the majority world, basically adapts to this minorities or to this oppressive view, it's interesting to note that Europeans make up less than 20% of the world's population. However, the dominance exerted by this group of Europeans who become white is worldwide. Even though more than 80% of the world's population consider those who are somehow or another different or deviate from whiteness. So when the profession associates race with only those who are not considered white, as a result, social work as a profession, we fail to acknowledge that whiteness also is a racial feature, or as, an identity, an ideology, and an institution. And so when we're talking particularly about the ideology, which is sort of connected to answering the question, who am I? I have white skin, therefore I am superior. And there was even some assumptions in the 19th century that white womanhood was somehow or another associated with moral superiority. But it goes even further than that in terms of when you begin to really unpack whiteness, there is a sense of, being centralized, being sort of the norm, but also, what it means to be human, right? So if one is situated within, say, the context of humanity, then all of these others are not quite human. And I know it's difficult for us to kind of, even conceptualize that this could even be a possibility, that one's humanity is not viewed within the context of humanity. But part of the racial constructions, part of the cultural constructions, and I'm talking about the deep structures of culture, looking at sort of the worldview, ontology, like what does it mean to be human, axiology, and what are, just looking at many of these, like even epistemology, how do we come to know what we know? We are operating within a cultural sort of worldview that gives us this view of how we perceive the world ourselves in relation to others. Now, because we do not unpack the ideology as much as I think we could as a profession, and within the context of social work, within the context of white womanhood, because this basically acted as, sort of those functions that shaped our profession. And again, as James Bowen said, history is not just simply the past or even something to be read, right? And so as a result of sort of this, I'm here to help, I'm here to pull you up to our standards, even though technically because of skin color, because you're melanin rich, you will really never fall straight into this sort of linear process of coming on the end as being assimilated. Um, but what that also does is that whiteness is able to literally just, no one interrogates it. It's like, well, we might talk about it, but particularly whiteness and gender in a profession that is majority white female, it's so. And part of this also is this, this pushback of, whiteness seeming to come from nowhere, no race or ethnicity, that there are no constructions in whiteness because it's the norm. It is basically that which is human, right? But there's also this piece that where whiteness actually insists on not being identified or named, right? And this is in its efforts to control the ethnographic gaze, right? You do research on the others. And even when you do research on those who are deemed white, whiteness is hardly ever in the title of the manuscript, of the article.